Hey everyone, we're about to jump into the very beginning of the book of Isaiah. And let me tell you, these opening chapters are just powerful. They swing from this intense, fiery judgment to these incredible visions of hope. And it's an amazing place to start.
All right, so here's our roadmap. We're going to break this down chapter by chapter. We'll kick things off with a nation's rebellion, then a vision of peace. After that, we'll see the collapse of society, followed by the promise of a purified remnant. Then we'll get into the famous Song of Judgment, and we'll wrap up with a prophet's own holy calling. It's quite a journey, so let's dive in.
All right, first up, a nation in rebellion. Chapter 1 kicks things off, and honestly, it reads like a dramatic courtroom scene. You've got the prophet Isaiah stepping up and just laying out this blistering indictment from God against the people of Judah and Jerusalem. He's basically saying, you've broken our covenant.
And the way Isaiah describes it is intense. He uses this really graphic image of a body that's sick and wounded from head to toe. No part of it is healthy. It's a powerful way of saying that the sin and corruption weren't just a small problem. No, it had infected the entire nation, from the very top to the very bottom.
So what you have here is this tragic disconnect. It's like a total breakdown in the relationship. On one side, you have God saying, I raised you like children, and you've just turned your backs on me. But on the other side, the people are thinking, what are you talking about? We're bringing all the sacrifices. But God's point is that it's all just an empty show. It's hollow, because their hearts aren't in it at all.
So what does God want then? It's not more religious rituals. He basically gives them this checklist of actual change. Stop doing evil, learn to do good, seek justice, help the oppressed, stand up for the orphan and the widow. He's making it crystal clear. Your worship means nothing if it isn't connected to real-world justice and compassion. That's what true repentance looks like.
And then, right after all that tough talk, you get this absolutely beautiful moment. It's this incredible offer of grace right in the middle of all the judgment. God says, come on, let's sort this out. He tells them that even if their sins are as bright and permanent as a scarlet stain, he can make them as white as snow. Just gone. A total reset.
Okay, so we're moving on to chapter 2, a vision of peace. And talk about a change of pace. We go from that heavy, intense courtroom drama of chapter 1 to this just breathtaking vision of the future. It's a total pivot to hope and global peace.
And this right here, this is one of the most famous lines in the entire Bible, the idea of beating swords into plowshares. Isaiah is seeing a time in the future where God's way of life is so influential that nations literally stop learning how to fight. They take their weapons of death and turn them into tools for farming, tools for life. Just imagine that.
But here's the thing, that amazing vision of peace, it's the complete opposite of what was actually happening in Isaiah's day. The reality was a nation filled with foreign superstitions, obsessed with money, and totally reliant on their own military strength. They trusted in idols they made with their own hands. They were full of pride, thinking they had it all figured out.
And this leads to a really important concept, the day of the Lord. This is a warning. It's about a coming time of judgment that's going to tear down all the things people put their trust in, their wealth, their army, their pride. The whole point is to humble humanity so that everyone can see that God alone is in charge.
So we've seen the ideal vision, and we've seen the corrupt reality. What happens next? Well, chapter 3 shows us the consequences. This isn't just a slap on the wrist, it's the complete and total collapse of their society.
And look at how this happens. It's like God is systematically removing every pillar holding their society up. First, the basics, bread and water. Then the leaders, both military and civil. Even the skilled workers. And what's left? Incompetent leaders and total anarchy, where everyone is turning on each other. When you take out the foundation, the whole thing just crumbles.
And what's at the very core of this collapse? Injustice. God doesn't mince words. He looks right at the leaders and asks this devastating question. What do you think you're doing, crushing my people and grinding the faces of the poor? It's a raw, direct accusation. He holds them completely responsible.
So now everything seems totally lost, right? But just when it feels like it's all over, chapter 4 brings back that theme of hope. It's not a go back to normal kind of hope, though. It's a focused, refined hope, centered on a small group of survivors, a remnant that will make it through the fire.
And this is where we get this amazing new symbol of hope, the branch of the Lord. Think of it like a new, healthy sprout growing from the stump of a tree that's been cut down. It points forward to a future king, a Messiah who will bring new life and beauty and glory out of the wreckage.
And it's really important to get this.
The people who survive aren't just the lucky ones. They're going to be fundamentally changed. They're purified, cleansed by what Isaiah calls a spirit of judgment and a spirit of burning. It's a refining fire, and what comes out the other side is a people who are truly holy, truly set apart for God.
Next up, chapter 5. Here, Isaiah tells a story. It's actually a song, one of the most famous parables in the Old Testament. It's called the Song of the Vineyard, and it's all about explaining why God's judgment is coming and why it's actually fair. The analogy is super clear. God is the owner of the vineyard. The people of Israel, they're the vineyard itself. And God did everything for them. He gave them the best soil, protected them, everything. He was expecting to get a harvest of amazing, sweet grapes, which represent justice and righteousness. But what did he find instead? These worthless, bitter, wild grapes, oppression and injustice. A total failure.
And then Isaiah spells out exactly what these wild grapes are. He lists a series of woes, like curses, against specific sins. Woe to the greedy who snatch up all the land. Woe to the party animals who forget God. Woe to people who twist morality upside down, calling evil good and good evil. This is the rotten fruit that their society was producing.
Okay, this brings us to chapter 6, which is the climax of this whole opening section. And the camera suddenly zooms in. It's no longer about the nation as a whole. It's about Isaiah's personal, terrifying, and utterly life-changing encounter with God.
So the story starts in a year of national uncertainty. The king, Uzziah, has just died. And in that moment, Isaiah gets a vision of the real king, God himself, on his throne in the temple. And the one thing that just hits him like a tidal wave is God's holiness. It's this overwhelming, all-consuming reality that fills the entire universe. And what happens next is this incredible four-step process. First, the vision of God's holiness. Second, Isaiah immediately confesses his own sinfulness. He sees God's perfection and just cries out, "Woe is me, I'm ruined." But, and this is key, that confession doesn't lead to his destruction. It leads to step 3, cleansing. God purifies him, and only then, after all that, comes the calling. God asks, "Who will go for us?" And Isaiah, now cleansed and ready, says, "Here I am, send me." And what a mission he's given. It's brutal. God tells him up front, you're going to preach a message of judgment to people who are going to refuse to listen. In fact, your preaching will make their hearts even harder. Can you imagine? And yet, even in that tough message, there's that little glimmer of hope again. A holy seed, a remnant, will be left. The story isn't over. So all of this leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on, doesn't it? Isaiah's job was to speak truth into a really messed up world. We see this cycle of rebellion, judgment, and hope. So it makes you wonder, what does that challenge to speak truth, to connect our faith with real justice, look like for us today?